Welcome to Decoding Bible Truth, where we explore the hidden connections between the Bible and the history of our world. When we read the Old Testament, we often focus on the spiritual journey of a single people. But have you ever wondered what was happening in the rest of the world during those iconic biblical moments? Today, we'll explore 7 major points where the Bible and secular history meet in a truly remarkable way. At the dawn of biblical history, as humanity began to spread across the earth after the Great Flood, secular history shows us the earliest flickers of organized civilization. Around 2300 to 2200 BC, as different peoples dispersed, some of the world's first great empires began to emerge in the fertile valleys of Mesopotamia. This era marked the foundation of the world's first structured societies. Around 2000 to 1900 BC, God called Abraham to leave his home for a new land. By this time, the Great Pyramid of Giza had already been standing as ancient wonders for centuries. As Abraham lived as a nomad in tents, Egypt's Middle Kingdom was at the peak of its administrative power. While the patriarchs walked in faith, the pharaohs were ruling over one of the most sophisticated civilizations in human history.
When Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, the wider Near East was in the midst of a power struggle. This was the era of the late Hyksos and the early New Kingdom in Egypt, when powerful dynasties were expanding their influence. While the Israelites were receiving the law in the wilderness, the great empires of the region were beginning to compete for dominance, shaping an early world of international politics and diplomacy. During the era of the Judges, and later, as God raised Samuel to prepare the way for kings, the Mediterranean world was going through a period of great instability, known as the Late Bronze Age collapse. While Israel struggled to find its footing without a king, many great ancient empires were crumbling due to invasions and internal decay. This dark age of secular history paved the way for new regional powers to rise. Under Kings David and Solomon, Israel reached its peak of wealth and influence. The first temple was being built in Jerusalem around 1000 to 950 BC. During this golden age, the Assyrian Empire began its steady rise to power in the north. By the time Solomon's reign ended, the Assyrians were developing into a brutal military superpower that would eventually change the map of the ancient Near East. After the kingdom split into Israel and Judah, a world-changing event occurred in the west. In 753 BC, the city of Rome was being founded on the banks of the Tiber River. Around this same time, the prophet Isaiah was preaching in Jerusalem and warning the kings of Judah. It is fascinating to think that as the biblical prophets were speaking of eternal kingdoms, the seeds of the mighty Roman Empire were just being planted. The Old Testament concludes with the fall of Jerusalem and the Babylonian captivity. Historians place the destruction of Jerusalem around 587 to 586 BC, after which the exiles lived in Babylon for decades. Then, around 539 to 536 BC, Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon. This event was a direct fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Cyrus allowed the Jews to return home and rebuild their temple, marking the final chapters of the Old Testament era, as the Persian Empire became the master of the known world. The timeline of the Old Testament is not just a collection of stories, it is deeply woven into the fabric of human history. These 7 points remind us that the events of the Bible took place on the same stage as the rise and fall of the world's greatest empires. If you enjoyed this journey through the Decoding Bible Truth series, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss our next exploration of Bible history and prophecy. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.